Tang matvatmajam avyaktang marchalingam madokshajam gopikoku gopigolu kale damna babanda prakritang yata. We'll go through the word for word and kindly repeat. Na, not. Cha, also. Antaha, interior. Na, nor. Bahihi, exterior. Jasya, whose. Na, neither. Purvam, beginning. Na, nor. Api, indeed. Cha, also. Aparam, end. Purva aparam, the beginning and the end. Bit high pitched, isn't it? Turn down the pitch, please. It's very squeaky and high. Bahi cha antaha, the external and the internal. Jagataha, of the whole cosmic manifestation. Yaha, one who is. Jagat Yaha, and who is everything in creation, in total. Tam, him. Matva, considering. Atmajam, her own son. Avyaktam, the unmanifested. Martya Lingam, appearing as a human being. Adhokshajam, beyond sense perception. Gopika, Mother Yashoda. Ulukale, to the grinding mortar. Damna, by a rope. Pabanda, bound. Prakritam yata, as done to a common human child. And now we're going to have a translator in a few seconds, I believe. We are hopeful. Sorry to push you. Are you overworked here? Overloaded?
I don't think...
Pardon?
I think this kind of I am in Portuguese.
Mm-hmm.
The first part of this kind of Portuguese.
Well, we're just about to begin reading. So, for those who are just, if there is anyone tuned in, this is the 10th canto, chapter 9, text number 14. Text number 14, 10th canto, chapter 9. 13 and 14 to be exact. And we're very fortunate today to have this opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. You're almost ready?
Yes.
So I said we're very fortunate today to have this opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam.
Somos muito afortunados hoje por podermos ouvir este Srimad Bhagavatam.
Why? Because we're hearing about the personality of Godhead.
Porque estamos a ouvir sobre a personalidade de Deus.
It's very rare to hear topics about, maybe referring to, but actually not just referring to, actually about the personality of Godhead.
Estamos a ouvir tópicos não que se referem sobre a personalidade de Deus, mas que falam concretamente sobre a personalidade de Deus.
Generally, people don't know anything actually about him, his personality, let's say.
Normalmente as pessoas não sabem nada sobre a sua personalidade.
What to speak of his actual pastimes.
O que falar então dos seus passatempos.
So we're hearing about God's pastimes.
Nós estamos a ouvir sobre os passatempos de Deus.
It's like you get people are fascinated to hear about the pastimes of some person whom they're interested in.
Assim como ouvir os passatempos de uma pessoa que estamos muito interessados.
But there's nothing comparable to the pastimes of God.
Mas não há nada comparável com os passatempos de Deus.
So let us read something here.
Vamos ler.
A translation to the text 13 and 14 of the 10th canto, chapter 9.
Então, a tradução do verso 13 e 14 do 10º canto, capítulo 9.
You have the book? Wonderful. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning and no end, no exterior and no interior, no front and no rear. In other words, he is all-pervading, because he is not under the influence of the element of time. For him there is no difference between past, present and future. He exists in his own transcendental form at all times, being absolute beyond relativity. He is free from distinctions between cause and effect, although he is the cause and the effect of everything. That unmanifested person, who is beyond the perception of the senses, has now appeared as a human child, and Mother Yasoda, considering him her own ordinary child, bound him up to the wooden mortar with a rope.
Tradução. A Suprema Personalidade de Deus não tem começo nem fim, exterior ou interior, frente ou posterior. Em outras palavras, ele é onipenetrante, porque não está sob a influência do elemento tempo. Para ele, não há diferença entre passado, presente e futuro. Em todos os tempos, ele existe em sua própria forma transcendental. Sendo absoluto, estando situado além da relatividade, nele não há distinções, tais como causa e efeito, embora ele seja a causa e o efeito de tudo. Esta pessoa manifesta, que está além da percepção dos sentidos, agora apareceu como uma criança humana, e Mãe Yashoda, considerando-o seu filho comum, pegou uma corda e amarrou a um pilão de madeira.
And purport by Srila Prabhupada. In Bhagavad Gita 10:12, Krishna is described as the Supreme Brahman. Param Brahma Param Dhamma.
No Bhagavad Gita 10:12, Krishna é descrito como o Brahman Supremo.
The word Brahma means the greatest.
A palavra Brahma significa o maior.
Krishna is greater than the greatest, being unlimited and all-pervading.
Sendo ilimitado e all-penetrante, Krishna é o maior do que o maior.
That's an interesting statement, isn't it? Greater than the greatest.
Uma citação interessante, maior do que o maior.
So that's understood in maybe different ways, but the way it's understood, at least in one sense here, Prabhupada mentions that he is unlimited and all-pervading.
Prabhupada menciona aqui que ele providencia tudo.
How can it be possible for the all-pervading to be measured or bound?
Como é que alguém que providencia tudo pode ser medido?
It appears that personality who is greater than everything that exists put together is being bound up by his mother, Yasoda, with a rope.
Então essa personalidade que é maior do que tudo, neste momento está a ser amarrada pela sua mãe com uma corda.
This is possible.
Isto é possível?
Can you bind God with a rope? If he's boundless, one of his qualities is he's boundless. He has no limits.
Podemos amarrar
You can't measure him.
Podemos amarrar a Deus com uma corda.
You can't contain him
Não podemos amarrar,
within
não
our-
podemos conter,
Within our grasp,
não podemos entender estas
He's-
coisas.
within these, without, he's everywhere.
Está dentro, está fora, ele está em todo lado.
He's the cause, he's the effect of everything.
Ele é a causa, é o efeito de tudo.
Everything's emanating from him.
Tudo emana dele.
How can that which emanates bind that which it emanates from?
Como é que aquele que emana tudo pode ser amarrado por alguém que emana dele mesmo?
This is the inconceivable nature of God.
Inconcebível Deus.
And the fact that he's greater than the greatest, we could take that as a comparative statement.
O facto de ser maior que o maior, podemos interpretar isto como
We could use the word Brahma means, Prabhupada says here, means the greatest.
So, Brahma significa o maior.
And that word derives in various ways, but it could mean the Brahman, the spiritual and all-pervasive energy of the Lord.
Pode significar Brahman, a energia que providencia tudo.
Which is very great.
Muito grande.
Or within our material scope, Lord Brahma is not quite the same, but it's the same principle. It's the greatest personality in one sense in this universe.
Então também temos Lord Brahma, que no sentido é a maior personalidade deste universo.
Greater than Brahma is Krishna.
Maior do que Brahma.
Brahma gets his power from Krishna.
Brahma recebe o seu poder de Krishna.
Now another aspect of this is, you could say, the transcendental one.
Outro aspecto,
not the relative one. This is
não relativo.
Inconceivable. We've already heard Krishna's unlimited.
Inconcebível.
So you may ask, how big is he? How strong is he?
Como forte
How, whatever. You may ask questions like that. Well, if God is a person, how big is he?
Deus é uma pessoa, quão grande ele é.
Well, one man one time asked Srila Prabhupada a question. He said, if God can do anything he likes, can he create a mountain? Now, very soon is the Govardhan Puja.
Então, um homem uma vez fez uma pergunta a Prabhupada. Se Deus é assim tão grande, consegue ele criar uma montanha? Isto foi próximo do Govardhan Puja.
On that occasion, Krishna lifts up the large mountain known as Govardhan with it in his hand.
Neste momento que estamos a falar, Govardhan Puja, Krishna levanta a montanha com a sua mão.
So that itself, materially speaking, is more or less an impossible feat for people to conceive of, practically, or at least to believe, anyway.
De uma forma material, isto é de facto inconcebível para nós entendermos.
So this man he was a little clever. He was a little, in English we say cocky, a little bit, thought himself very clever.
Este homem era considerado assim mesmo um pouco arrogante.
So you say there's nothing that Krishna cannot do, right?
Então não há nada que Krishna não consiga fazer.
So tell me then, Swamiji, tell me, can he make a mountain so great that he cannot lift it?
Então, Swamiji, consegue que Krishna criar uma montanha tão grande que ele mesmo não a consiga levantar?
Clever question. If he can't do it, that means there's something he can't do.
Pergunta com rasteira.
And if he can do it, it's contradictory.
E se ele não consegue fazer, é contraditório.
Right? You're trying to check. Many people try to challenge Krishna, and Krishna, always like with Hiranyakashipu, he thought he could, deceive or defeat Krishna by various means, but ultimately Krishna defeated every one of his challenges.
Então, muita gente que tenta desafiar Krishna com virar a caixa de e mesmo assim, Krishna consegue sempre superar estes desafios que toda a gente lhe dá.
Without breaking any of the promises of Lord Brahma.
Sem interromper nenhuma promessa de Lord Brahma.
So, similarly, this man was like a little Hiranyakashipu, you could say. So then Prabhupada answered in his question, can he make a mountain that he cannot lift? And Prabhupada said yes. And then he'll lift it. This is the, let's say here, the unlimited. It has no measure. So how big is Krishna? He's this big, and then he can be bigger. Then he's bigger. Then he's bigger. So whatever it is, it's within Krishna's grasp. But then it's within Krishna's grasp to know it, to deal with it, whatever you want to call it.
Krishna pode, como é inconcebível, ele pode ter tamanho agora, mas a seguir pode ter tamanho muito maior. Então, algo que neste momento
when he manifests, it's so big at that point you could say, well, maybe it's bigger than everything else, he can't lift it. But then as soon as it's manifested, then he can lift it.
Então podemos dizer, isto é tão grande que se calhar ele não consegue levantar, mas assim que é manifesto, ele sim consegue levantá-lo.
So Prabhupada kind of like defeated this man's cocky or proud challenge.
Então Prabhupada derrotou este homem arrogante.
Nothing is impossible for the Lord.
Nada é impossível para Deus.
He is all pervading.
Ele providencia tudo.
Because he's not under the influence of the element of time. For him there's no difference. Oh, we read that, that's the verse, sorry. Purport, we're on the purport, aren't we? And where we got to. How can it be possible for the all-pervading to be measured or bound?
Como é que é possível que o omnipenetrante possa ser medido ou amarrado?
He's all-pervasive. He's unlimited. You can't measure.
Se alguém que providencia tudo não pode ser medido.
Materially, we can measure.
Materialmente podemos medir.
Maybe you can count the number of atoms in the universe.
Talvez possamos contar.
Has anyone made a count of how many atoms there are in the universe? Nitai? You're a very clever man. Have you counted how many atoms there are in the universe?
I tried to, but
Oh, you lost count. You fell asleep. Huh? Fell asleep counting. Pardon? How many atoms are there? I didn't know you know. I asked Nitai, he said he's tried to count, and I said, well, what happened to you? You fell asleep or what? Trying to count the atoms. How can you count the atoms in the universe? You're using atoms to count the atoms as well, by the way.
Então, contar os átomos do universo não é
Yeah. And even if you do count, that won't be the right figure by the time you've counted.
Mesmo que consigas contar, não será o número correto quando.
Let's make an easy one. How many hairs are there on your head? Surely you know.
Na tua cabeça.
You must know, surely. That's easy to count.
Isso é fácil de contar.
I've never heard anyone know exactly how many hairs they've got on their head, exactly to the one, you know. And that's a simple question. Simple question. How many cells do you have in your body? How many grains of sand are there on? What's the beach? What's the big beach? I don't know the big beach in Lisbon. How many grains of sand are there on the beach? Even if you could count that, you can never count the qualities of God.
Mesmo que consigas contar isso, nunca consegues contar as qualidades de Deus.
How can it be possible for the all-pervading to be measured or bound?
Como é que pode ser para o que providencia tudo ser medido ou amarrado?
Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said that anyone who thinks anything that can be measured is called Maya.
Bhaktisiddhanta disse tudo o que pode ser medido é Maya.
So it is possible to measure things within this material realm. It is theoretically possible.
Teoricamente é possível medir as coisas dentro deste universo material.
Distances, numbers,
Distâncias, números,
size, etc. It's possible. Although, you could almost say impossible at a certain point, that's for sure.
Mas podemos dizer de certo ponto que é impossível.
Because time is there and it changes the measure. Things are being changed by time. Our distance from one place to another, or from our point of view, it's always changing. The number of atoms, cells, everything's changing in this universe.
Do nosso ponto de vista, tudo está a mudar neste universo, os átomos, as células do nosso corpo, as distâncias entre os locais.
So how is it possible for the all-pervading to be measured or bound?
Como é que pode ser para a providência tudo ser medido e amarrado?
What's going to bind him?
O que é que vai amarrar?
He's all-pervading.
Providência tudo.
That means something outside of the all-pervading, which is everywhere. It's not possible.
Isso significa algo fora do providência tudo? Não, isto não é possível.
It means This is a concept that some people have, that there's some kind of competitor to God and there's like this eternal rivalry going on. It does not like that at all.
Não é como as pessoas pensam, que há algo exterior a Deus e que há uma rivalidade.
Everything is under God's control.
Tudo está sob o controle de Deus.
Otherwise, He's not the supreme controller. It's not some kind of boxing match going on. Who is the greatest?
Não é uma competição de boxe para ver quem é que é o
Whatever happens ultimately is under the control of God.
Tudo o que acontece ultimamente está sob o controle de Deus.
Now that's very hard for materially conditioned souls to digest sometimes.
Isso é muito elevado para almas condicionadas conseguirem digerir.
The more materialistic we are, the more in ignorance we are of who we are, the more difficult it is to understand this situation which we're in.
Quanto mais materialmente ligados estamos, mais difícil é nós entendermos.
Just like the less developed in maturity a child is, the more difficult it is for the child to grasp the workings of whatever it may be, a microphone, or as there's one right here, or telephone, or anything mechanical, anything at all come to that. It's difficult to grasp.
Por exemplo, como uma criança, quanto mais imatura ela é, mais difícil ela entender como funcionam as coisas, por exemplo.
So for persons who are very materialistic, it's impossible to understand these things. How can He be God? People ask questions. Why is there so much suffering in the world if there's a God? People say.
E quanto mais materialmente predispostos estamos, em nossa ignorância maior, nós perguntamos como é que pode haver sofrimento no mundo, onde é que está Deus?
You could equally ask the question, well, why is there so much suffering if there isn't a God? Why is there suffering at all, you may ask? Why is there anything at all, you may ask? You can go on and on with questions which are like not within our grasp to understand, unless we understand who we are. As long as you have a material concept and use that material concept to try to analyze or understand God, we'll get nowhere. Basically, that's what's going on. Well, here Prabhupada says, then again, Krishna is the time factor. We're under time, right? Just like, we've got to go to work, we've got to get up, we've got to do this. We're under time. Controlled by time. We're serving time. We're serving time. And when a person's arrested and put in prison sometimes, in English we say they're serving time. Have you heard that one? They're serving, say you've got a 10-year prison sentence. They call it, you're serving time. 10 years. One of the ignorances of people is we spend our life basically serving time. I've got to do this in a certain amount of time. Time is really controlling everything here. I've got to finish the class by a certain time. You've got to finish the class by a certain time. And we all have our time measurement in this lifetime. Lifetime. But life is eternal. We don't know that. So we spend our life, this life, and any life come to that, serving time. And what does time do? After spending a whole life serving time, time kills us. Thanks very much. But when we understand that Krishna is time, there is no death. Ayur Hariti Vaipungsam. You know that verse? Where is that verse? Second canto, I think. Ayur Hariti Vaipungsam. I can't remember the whole verse. If you have a second canto Bhagavatam here, we can find it. But I don't have any books here. Ayur, I-A-A-Y-U-R, Ayur, Hariti, Hariti Vai. That's the first three words. You can find it if you look on search in the database or something. But the by the rising and setting of the sun, the duration of everyone is reduced, taken away. Every day, another day gone, never to get back.
Todo dia que passa, o sol passa e o tempo nunca volta atrás.
Except for those who've surrendered or taken shelter of the Lord. For them, it has no effect. Because they know they're eternal. They know that life is eternal. And this is just a temporary kind of thing which we're going through in this lifetime, something which the eternal soul is washing. It's not the soul. The soul is not being killed. That's the whole essence of the Bhagavad Gita, and that's why it's shown on a battlefield, because it looks like people are being killed.
Então a alma não é afetada por isto. E isso é que fala o Bhagavad Gita. E é por isso que é falado no campo de batalha, para mostrar que a alma não é morta.
Only the body is subject to the effects of time.
Só o corpo é afetado pelo tempo.
But because the soul identifies with the body, it appears that the soul is being created or destroyed to some people, or it's being affected, of course, by the passing of what we call time, by Krishna's hand working.
Porque a alma se identifica com o corpo, aí sim nós temos a percepção de que está a haver essas mudanças e o corpo está...
In reality, we're watching a drama before our eyes. And in drama there's all kinds of different emotional events taking place. And you know yourself, if you identify with that drama, you get very affected. Isn't it? Television, stage performance, film. You're emotionally very affected by what's going on there. So that's what's happening in this world we're in. This is a regular affair, isn't it? Sometimes many, in a few minutes you hear them go by. Yesterday, I counted 4 or 5 within a span of 5 minutes passing yesterday. Is it fire engine or what?
I don't know.
Yesterday there were so many in one point. Whatever. I don't think it was police station. It sounds different, but I don't know. Here it doesn't sound like. It sounds like a fire engine or an ambulance, but you won't get 4 or 5 ambulances within 5 minutes generally passing by. But anyway, whatever. Maybe it's one or the other. Probably an ambulance or something. Where were we? No, I mean, what was I talking about?
Oh. If you identify with drama, you get very affected.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we all know that. You can start crying, you can get afraid, you can get lusty, you can get angry. You're just watching something. It's not a reality in one sense. It's a film. But it has a real effect on us. Real, it's as effectual as a reality, you could say. But whether it's on a film or whether it's in what we call our actual life, it's actually not a reality. It's just the effects of time working on the material energy.
Então, quer seja no filme, quer seja na nossa vida real, é só o tempo a tomar o seu efeito.
And it doesn't mean we should be callous to what's going on and not care less.
Isto não significa que nós não devemos querer pelo que está a acontecer.
But it does mean that we should try to understand that it's not us who is being killed, it's not us who are doing this and that. We're witnessing these things going on.
Mas o que devemos entender é que não somos nós que estamos a passar por isto, não somos nós que estamos a ser mortos. Nós estamos a presenciar isso.
A devotee works towards trying to help people to understand what's going on.
E o devoto faz com que as pessoas tentem compreender o que está a acontecer.
And to create an environment which is favorable to realize that.
E criar ambiente para que seja favorável realizar isso.
An environment where people can actually start to progress in spiritual life.
Ambiente que pode ajudar as pessoas a progredir na vida espiritual.
Although it appears under the influence of time,
Apesar de parecer que está a ser influenciado pelo tempo,
it's connected to the timeless reality of spiritual life.
está conectado à vida sem tempos, à vida espiritual sem tempo.
And this helps free people from the very cause of their ignorance and their suffering.
Isto ajuda a libertar as pessoas do seu sofrimento.
They no longer want to act in such ways that will cause further bondage.
Eles não querem atuar das mesmas formas que
And babanda, the word is mentioned here, babanda. Babanda. It means bound. People are bound in this material world.
As pessoas estão amarradas a este
Bound by the ropes of Mother Nature.
amarradas pelas cordas da mãe natureza.
Isn't it? Due to our desire and how we relate to Mother Nature, we're babanda, we're bound by Mother Nature.
Nós estamos amarrados pela
So
mãe
Krishna's
natureza.
going to be bound by Mother Yasoda.
Mas Krishna pode ser amarrado pela mãe Yashoda.
Right? So when we hear about Krishna being bound by Mother Yasoda, you get free from being bound by Mother Nature.
Então, quando ouvimos que Krishna é amarrado pela mãe Yashoda, nós ficamos libertos de ser amarrados pela
As we hear, you remove one thorn with another thorn, right? You have a thorn or something stuck in you, you take another similar thing like a thorn and you can hook it out.
Então é como se tivéssemos espinho. Nós pegamos algo semelhante a espinho e tiramos.
So by hearing about the boundless being bound, we can also become unbound.
Então, ao ouvirmos sobre a personalidade que não pode ser amarrada, sendo amarrada, nós tornamos.
This is the reason why Krishna, well, the external reason. Many real reasons are internal, but the external reason is that Krishna wants all the conditioned souls to become unbound.
Isto é uma razão externa, há muitas internas, mas a razão para ajudar esta história é que Krishna quer que nós fiquemos libertos.
Sometimes it's asked, for instance, towards the end of this pastime, we hear about Nalakuvara and Manigriva, how they were delivered by Krishna, part of this pastime. And they've been standing there in the form of trees for a long, long time. And, Krishna waited for this moment to deliver them. You could say, they got the blessing of Narada that they will be delivered when Krishna appears in his pastimes in this world. But Krishna, sometimes people ask him, why didn't he do it earlier? Why did he do it at this point of time? Why did Krishna do it this way? Why did he deliver them? And the answer is that Krishna, up to that point, was not bound. Nalakuvara and Manigriva were bound, tied up in trees. They were, bound up in the form of trees. They couldn't move. Tied up by the arrangement of time, you could say. So Krishna says that, well, I wasn't bound up before that, but when I was bound, I could feel what it was like to be bound. So in that way, I felt, now I will release them from their bondage. So it said that one who experiences something, they can understand more what someone else is experiencing when they're in a similar situation. We sometimes forget, living entities in tree bodies or in plant bodies, they're very bound up. The realized soul also acts for their benefit, to help release them from their bondage. What to speak of human beings.
os seres humanos.
We'll carry on with the purport. Therefore, he is all-pervading, not only in space, but also in time. Amazing. No time. Eternal. It's said in the spiritual world, there's no effect of time. I'm speaking, I read and then I spoke.
Então vamos ler aqui parte do significado. Logo, ele é onipenetrante, não apenas no espaço, mas também no tempo.
We have measurements of time, I'm reading. But although we are limited by past, present and future, for Krishna these do not exist.
Costumamos medir o tempo, porém nos limitemos ao passado, presente e futuro. Para
Said
Krishna isso não existe.
in the spiritual world, there's no past, present and future. Everything's eternal.
No mundo espiritual não há passado, presente ou futuro, tudo é eterno.
Actually, in this world, everything's eternal also.
Na verdade, tudo neste mundo também é eterno.
But by the influence of time, it appears everything has a past, present and future.
Mas pela influência do tempo, aparenta ter passado, presente e futuro.
Actually, what's going on is that the external energy, or the Brahman energy of the Lord, covered by ignorance, is constantly changing, and it appears that things have a beginning and an end.
Então, como é porque esta energia externa do Senhor está constantemente a ser mudar, e daí parece que haver passado, presente e futuro.
Have you ever seen a kaleidoscope? You know this word, kaleidoscope? You know what a kaleidoscope is?
Caleidoscópio.
I don't know how to say it in Portuguese, if it means the same thing or not. Some kind of thing with all these little bits of colours inside it, and you shake it and it keeps changing its shape and form. It's quite fascinating. People are fascinated by it. They used to be, I don't know. But nothing's really changing. In one sense, it appears to be changing. There's the same basic things are there, just being reformed to make it look different. And it captivates our attention.
Basicamente é sempre a mesma coisa, mas está constantemente a remodelar-se e assim parece que
I like that, yeah.
assim cativa a nossa atenção.
Time is moving all the material elements in such a way that everything's changing and creates different visions and different experiences and so on and so forth.
Então o tempo está a mudar os elementos materiais de forma a criar novas visões, novas aparências.
So to realize that the soul is the seer, is the witness of all of this, not the doer and not the enjoyer or the sufferer.
Temos de perceber que a alma é quem observa, não é o que desfruta ou o que sofre.
And the amazing thing is that which is being seen is also not the enjoyer or sufferer.
E o fascinante disto é que quem está a ver também não é quem desfruta ou quem sofre.
It's like if you're in a car and you crash your car.
É como se estivéssemos no carro e tivéssemos acidente.
Who goes to hospital, the car or the passenger? Maybe both. Different type of hospital. One goes to the garage, one goes to the hospital. Maybe that's what's happened here. I don't know. But literally, you don't see cars being brought into hospitals, put in beds and, bandages and what have you. The car will do nothing. The car just sits there. It's dead when you're driving it. It's dead when you smash it. It's just dead matter. But who suffers? I mean, does the car in one sense, but not really. It's the same dead matter at all stages. A dead body can't suffer, right? So dead matter, how can it suffer? It's something else, isn't it? It's a simple example is we. I mean, even though nothing's happened to us, say the car's smashed and nothing happened to us directly, we're not injured even. Oh no! Oh no! He smashed me.
Oh no! Ele partiu.
But it's not me, it's the car that's smashed.
Não sou eu, é o carro.
But because we identify with the car, we feel terrible, don't you? Even if it breaks down or you get a parking fine, it's like, oh no, I got fined.
Quando temos acidente ou uma multa, depois, oh não, fui multado.
Other people on the road means nothing to them whatsoever, right? Even your pet dog, it doesn't mean. you know, your car's been smashed, you get out of the car, the first thing the dog is, it will pass urine up against the car, right? Doesn't mean nothing to the dog. Oh, my master's car's been smashed. Oh! Is the dog going to start crying? Means nothing. And to other people there might be a little sentiment, but not much. If you're getting fined, and they just walk by as if nothing's happening, maybe they they may laugh or something. Idiot, he deserved it. Because of identity, we have this bondage. So changing our identity is the secret. That's the purpose of human life, to change our identity away from identifying with this body and identifying with our true nature, and identifying that nature with Krishna. We have measurements of time. Goes on. But although we are limited by past, present and future, for Krishna those do not exist. We read that. Every individual person can be measured, but Krishna has already shown that although he is also an individual, the entire cosmic manifestation is within his mouth.
Todo indivíduo pode ser medido, mas Krishna já mostrou que, embora ele também seja indivíduo, toda a manifestação cósmica está dentro de sua boca.
Another inconceivable factor. Everything is within an atom, you could say, yet everything seems to be outside of the atom simultaneously. How can we measure this with our material concepts? It's not possible. So within Krishna's mouth, he showed Mother Yasoda the entire. He was accused. This is a lovely pastime also, isn't it? Krishna, have you eaten mud?
Então, isto é outro passatempo também fantástico, que Krishna mostra todo o universo dentro da sua boca, mãe.
Krishna's playing with his friends, and and they're, whatever reason, they're accusing him to Mother Yasoda. Krishna's eating mud.
Então, este é outro passatempo.
He had some kind of quarrel.
Krishna está a brincar com os seus amigos e os seus amigos vão reclamar à mãe Yashoda.
Even Balram saying, Krishna, Mother Yasoda said, are you eating mud? Oh, Mother, I'm not eating mud. They're all ganging up on me. It's not true, really. They're all ganging up on me. I haven't. Then, if you haven't eaten mud, open your mouth. Let me see what's inside there. So, children, they don't usually wash their mouths after eating, They don't think like that. So if he's eaten mud, there's going to be some mud stuck on those teeth. Open your mouth, you naughty boy. And so Krishna opened his mouth. Mother Yasoda is looking for mud. And what does she see? Inside his mouth she sees the entire universe manifesting. Everything in the universe manifesting before her. Am I dreaming? What's going on here? Maybe this is some spirit entered into my child. What's happening? She could not conceive of it. My child, what's happening here? She's not thinking he's God. No, at all. Quite bewildering. Then again, Krishna withdrew that illusion, so she came back to normality. All these points considered, Krishna cannot be measured. How can we, as a part of everything, measure everything? Illogical, isn't it? How then did Yasoda want to measure him and bind him? Mother Yasoda, you know, it's like you take your child to the tailor or something and they put this thing around your waist, you know, I don't know, 50 centimeters or whatever it is, right, a tape, and you get, you know, a tailor cut pair of pants or dress or something or another, right? They measure you. Then they make a dress, right? Accordingly. They don't measure you 50 centimeters, they make the trousers 2 centimeters, and then it won't work, will it? Might be okay for a little dolly like this. Or like 500 centimeters, pair of pants 500 centimeters around, you know. You could sleep inside it easily. Where is he? He's inside the pants somewhere, I don't know where. He's somewhere inside the pants. And you make it to measure. You measure it, you know. Limited. He might grow a little bit. Mother Yasoda is measuring Krishna's belly. How big is he? We'll need 1 meter of rope. That will be enough to tie him up.
Simplificando, a mãe vem a Yashoda está a medir a cintura de Krishna para saber quanto é que precisa de corda.
We must conclude that this took place simply on the platform of pure transcendental love.
Pode-se ver que isto ocorreu simplesmente na plataforma de amor transcendental puro.
She was just simply thinking of, you know, her beloved son and how to help him to become, to understand and the lessons he needs to learn to protect him from getting into trouble in the future.
Está só a pensar como posso eu proteger o meu filho para que ele possa aprender as lições que o protejam no futuro.
Of course, there's another aspect to it. This month of Kartik is generally understood as the most auspicious month for Vaishnavas, particularly for everyone, but Vaishnavas understand. And we sing every day Damodar Ashtakam, this prayer in the evenings, generally speaking. And we call Radha Damodar, huh? Radha Damodar. We sing Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radha. Okay, Damodar, one who's bound around the waist. But why Radha? What's she got to do with it? You should sing Jaya Yasoda Damodar. What's Radharani got to do with it? Hasn't it? It doesn't, from a simple perspective, it doesn't seem to fit.
Numa perspectiva simples, não faz sentido.
Does it? I mean, what do you think?
There is a pastime.
Yeah, there's a pastime, but I'm talking of a simple perspective of those who know nothing. Okay? It doesn't fit, does it? You think, why are you singing Radha Damodar? You're reading all about and singing all about Mother Yasoda binding Krishna, then you end up singing Radha Damodar.
Estamos a falar sobre o passatempo de Mãe Yashoda aprender.
It's like, you know,
Estamos a falar de Radha.
You're worshipping the deities of Sita, Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman. In the end you sing Jaya Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda Radhe. You expect to sing Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram or something.
Como se estivéssemos a adorar as deidades de
Normal. Nothing wrong in one sense. Nothing. But it's kind of misidentity in one sense.
Falta de má identificação, em certo sentido.
And so, yeah, there's a pastime. There's a pastime, and there's more important than the pastime is the, you could say, the emotion. But this pastime is Radharani's favorite pastime. Favorite pastime, can you believe it? Why? Because Mother Yasoda is she's trying to bind Krishna. Mother Yasoda is bound Krishna. With rope, right? You bring the songbook. Bring me a songbook. I don't know what songbook you've got here. Let me see which one it is. I'm not sure. This one's probably correct. I don't know. Don't run away yet. I know it's hungry time. And sometimes hungry time turns into angry time. Where's this song? Here we go. Namadi. Here it is. It says it here. To that Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, whose belly is bound with rope. It says it right here. Whose belly is bound with rope.
Aquele qual a cintura é amarrada por corda.
It's wrong.
É errado.
This is wrong.
É errado.
It says is not bound with rope.
Diz que não é amarrado.
Here it says is bound with rope.
Mas aqui diz que é amarrado por corda.
It's not bound with rope, but it's bound with his mother's pure love.
Mas sim amarrado pelo
Krishna can't be bound with rope. Come on. He's not bound with rope. He's bound with his mother's pure love.
Não é amarrado por cordas, é amarrado.
That's what's tying him up. That's why he's performing this pastime. To reciprocate the intense, pure love of Mother Yashoda. It's not the ropes. She had 200 meters of rope eventually trying to tie him up. She couldn't tie him with 200 meters of ropes.
Não é uma questão de amarrar com cordas.
Just a little baby. No one can bind him. He's boundless. But he agreed to be bound. Not with rope, but with Mother's pure love. Why this is... they've done this. I don't know what... Have you got a translation? It's in Portuguese, though, isn't it? Yeah, so I can't say. Well, that's probably correct in there. I don't know what it says.
No, it says...
Not bound.
Not bound by a rope.
Yeah, that's the proper translation, but here it's wrong. It says bound with ropes. It's not bound with ropes. It appears to a material eye. That's a material understanding. It's not what it is really meant to say. It's meant to say not bound with rope, but bound with his mother's pure love. That's how you bind Krishna. So Radharani loves this pastime because Mother Yashoda's bound him up with her pure love, and she wants to bind him also with her love.
É por isso que Radharani gosta deste passatempo, porque a Mãe Yashoda está a aprender Krishna com o seu amor puro, e é o que Radharani quer fazer também.
So of course Krishna fulfilled Radharani's desire also in a certain situation. Radharani was also able to bind him up with the vines of the forest trees.
Então, Krishna também satisfez Radharani, que a certa altura ele também conseguiu ser... Radharani também prendeu com ramos de árvores.
But actually Krishna is only bound with pure transcendental love, not by anything else.
Mas Krishna só é amarrado por amor.
I can only be even understood by pure devotional service. What to speak of being controlled by it? Krishna is controlled by the pure love of his devotees. Incredible. You can control Krishna. I was reading yesterday that the general concept of most people is we're all sons of God. Even Jesus says, Son of God. Now, let's look at it like this. You've had children. You know what it's like. Yes? So, generally speaking, the child is always receiving. The parents are always giving. Up to a certain point, at least. The parents, especially when they're young, the child gives nothing. The parents giving everything. Child, the parent is doing everything. The child is simply, give me this, I want that, I want your milk, I want poo, I want this and that, and so many things. All the time, it's one-way traffic. So this mentality of being the eternal Son of God means you're always on that side, and God is your order supplier. He's got to serve you for eternity.
Esta mentalidade é a mentalidade de que Deus está sempre do outro lado, está sempre a servir.
Of course, that willingness is there. There's a love there, but it's not complete.
Sim, está lá algum amor, mas não é completo.
It's a very, you could say, just like with a child, you expect when the child grows up, that won't be the case. You know, that the child will start giving to you, probably. At least when you get older, you expect that.
Nós esperamos quando uma criança fica mais
Human
velha,
society.
ao contrário, ela começa a
Not like, you know, your parents are 90 years old and you're 60 years old and you're still going there, Mum, you know, give me this, give me that, give me this. It happens like this, but it shouldn't be. You should be thinking, how can I help you, Mum? You helped me so much, now how can I help you?
É como se fôssemos já com 60 anos e continuamos a ir a casa e pedir a mãe,
Mature.
isto, dá-me aquilo. Deve ser ao contrário. Quando chegamos a certa maturidade, chegamos lá, mãe, como posso...
So the mature relationship is this is an example of a real mature relationship, that the devotee is in the mood of the parent of God.
Isto é uma situação de uma relação madura.
Constantly serving God. Our business is to serve God.
Nossa intenção é servir Deus.
That's why there's no bhakti, hardly any bhakti manifested in most cases, because we're always thinking God is my servant. He has to serve me. Give me this, give me that.
Sei que muitas vezes não existe bhakti ou devoção, porque nós estamos sempre a pensar não em servir a Deus, mas Deus dá-me isto, dá-me aquilo.
It's a kind of form of God consciousness, but it's very immature.
É uma forma de consciência de Deus, mas é muito
It's not very ripe. Just like you can't eat an unripe mango very nicely, but you hope it's going to ripen and then it will be very tasty.
É como comer uma manga que ainda não está madura.
Oh, I love mangoes. And you give somebody a rock hard green mango. Okay, you love mangoes. Here, eat this.
É como se, eu adoro mangas. Ok, temos aqui uma manga bastante verde.
Probably throw it at them. They can't eat this, you nonsense. Boom!
Tiras de volta. Não posso comer isto. Estás tudo a fazer.
It's like bitter almost, you know. So, you know, it's okay, it's immature, but it should mature, this mentality should mature to understand what it means to serve God. It's not just saying, God is great, I am His son, God is providing everything for me. It's a baby mentality. It needs to mature, that's all. Nothing, in one sense, wrong, but it's under the influence of time still. And it has to mature to the real platform of understanding the eternal relationship, not just the relative relationship.
Então, ainda não há nada de errado, mas ainda é uma mentalidade muito imatura. Temos de perceber que, com o tempo, temos de crescer e perceber qual é a nossa relação com Deus.
Advaitam achyutamanadam anantarupam madhyam purana purusham navayovanam cha Vedeshu durlabam adurlabam atmapakto govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. A famous verse from Brahma Samhita. Everything is one, and because we have to understand this in the full sense. Everything is one because Krishna is the supreme cause of everything. In other words, everything is spiritual. Everything is a form or an expansive form of Krishna. Everything.
Temos compreendido isto no sentido que tudo é uno porque Krishna é o supremo causa de tudo.
Krishna cannot be measured or calculated by Vedic knowledge. Vedeshu durlabham. Impossible to understand even through the study of the Vedas.
Krishna não pode ser medido ou calculado através do conhecimento védico.
He's available only to devotees. Adurlabham atma bhakto.
Ele manifesta-se apenas aos devotos.
Devotees can handle him because they act on the basis of loving service. Bhakti-mama vichanati yavanyas chasmi tatvata.
Os devotos podem relacionar-se com ele porque agem com base em serviço amoroso.
Just like the mother. Oftentimes the mother she wants to bind her child. She don't want the child to go, you know. She can't live without her child practically. She wants to if I could bind him up always. I know my mother used to say, I just wish you would stay like this your whole life. Little baby almost, you know. I can remember that. They want to keep you always, you know. So Mother Yasoda's thinking like that with Krishna. She just wants to, and she always sees Krishna like a baby, like a small boy. Even when he's appears fully mature. And mothers, especially mothers, they often do. Even when their son is like fully grown up with his own kids, they still kind of emotionally see him like their little baby, you know.
Isto acontece mesmo com as mães quando o seu filho já
My
é
baby.
elas
They even say that
emocionalmente percebem o seu
sometimes.
filho como uma criança.
He's the president of America. Oh, my baby.
Eles às vezes até dizem, olha, aqui está o
My little boy.
meu bebê.
You know, they feel like that. They would like, if they could, now take him on his lap and feed him and caress him and like that.
Eles gostariam de poder pegá-los no colo novamente, acariciá-los, dar-lhes comida.
And sometimes in India particularly, I don't know elsewhere, but India almost is like that the mother sometimes practically does with her grown-up son, just still feeds him. He'll sit there and the mother's still feeding him, you know, he's like 40 years old, the mother's feeding him with a spoon, combing his hair,
Ainda acontece pouco, às vezes estão lá os filhos
manicuring his nails, different things. She still sees him like that Mother Yasoda mentality.
Ela ainda vai os seus filhos desta forma, com a mentalidade.
He might be a billionaire. He's become a billionaire or something, you know. Still the mother sees him as a helpless little boy.
Ele pode ter tornado milionário, mas a mãe não vê como uma criança indefesa.
It's a form of love which is partially reflected in this material world through, more than anything, I think, through the mother and son relationship is probably the most close you can get to this level of transcendental love in this world.
Neste mundo material, o mais aproximado que conseguimos ter esse amor transcendental é esta relação entre a mãe e o seu filho.
And just like the mother likes to bind her son, keep him at home, and so on. So Mother Yasoda, because it comes from Mother Yasoda, and those in the mood of Mother Yasoda, they want to keep Krishna always with them, bound up in their, because in their heart always. But even what appears external, they want to keep him there always. They don't want him to go.
Vem tudo desta ligação com este sentimento de Mãe Yasoda, querer ligar a criança.
You could say this is selfish. You could say it sounds selfish to me.
Pode-se parecer egoísta.
But this is what the love. This is what brings pleasure to Krishna. Is the love. And even we have a little experience of that sometimes. Somebody might give you something, but if it's not given with love, it doesn't have the same effect. They might give it you with a, you know, begrudgingly or even, you know, forcibly or something. Or for trying to win some favor from you. Or to show off in front of others. Whatever it may be. It's not with love, it's with a motivation. But when there's nothing but love, loving exchange, you can feel so much more comforted. That's where more pleasure comes in that way. It may only be a small thing, but if it's given with love, a child gives a little piece of chocolate to his father. The father gave him the chocolate in the first place, but then he gives his father a little bit of that chocolate. The father feels very, my son. My son loves me. My son loves me. Yeah. I was watching outside just now, there's a vehicle, Uber vehicle. It must have been 8-9 people got out the back, tourists, you know. And it was trying to park, but it couldn't park because there was a man there standing in the car park, just down the front there. And he had a little tiny dog with him. The dog was passing stool right in the middle of a little car park, and the man stood there for that. It went on, the dog was very slow at passing stool. 2-3 minutes passed and it was still not coming out. And the car is stuck there in the middle of the road waiting for the dog to finish passing stool.
Algo que aconteceu agora, uma vez estava aqui num carro, possivelmente um Uber, assim, com umas 8 pessoas, e queria estacionar aqui no sítio.
The dog's on the lead, the man stood there, patiently waiting for the dog to finish its business.
Mas estava um cão a fazer as suas necessidades nesse parque.
Eventually, the dog is relieved. Eventually, it's passed. It's only a little one. It wasn't much, though, just a little bit. The man takes out something. I guess it was a bag or something, He goes down on the ground and picks up the stool, in his hand, with some paper or plastic, or I don't know what it was, I couldn't see from here. Picked it up, and the dog very happily. Then they walk onto the path, and then slowly the car starts to park. Everyone's waiting for the dog to pass the stool. Then he picks up the stool.
Estavam todos à espera do cão fizesse as suas necessidades e o seu dono esperou e assim que o cão fez as necessidades, pegou nas pernas e lá foi ele e o cãozinho todo contente e assim depois o carro.
He walks down the road carrying this lump of stool in his hand.
Depois desceu a estrada carregando este.
And I saw him go to the bin at the end and threw it in the bin.
Depois pôs dentro do caixote do lixo.
And walked on with his dog. Or let's say the dog walked on with him.
Continuou a seguir o caminho com ele.
It's lovely. It's crazy, but there's obviously love there. He loves his dog,
É de loucos, mas obviamente ali.
It's like a mother cleans up the stool of the baby. He's cleaning up the dog's stool.
Como a mãe limpa as fezes da sua criança, eles têm
I'm amazed. I get amazed how this guy, every second counts money for him, but he's waiting patiently for this dog in his car, waiting for him to finish stool and, move along before he, even blowing his horn. Get off the road, Will. This is a car park. This is not a dog stool place,
É fascinante como este senhor que o tempo é dinheiro para ele, que está ali à espera.
Patiently waiting.
Pacientemente espera.
This is what's happening. Instead of loving God now, we're loving dog.
É isto que acontece, em vez de amarmos a Deus, neste momento estamos a amar os cães.
You can love dog in relationship with God also, but unfortunately they don't see it in relationship with God, they see it in relationship to themselves.
Podemos amar os cães em relação a Deus, mas nesta forma nós estamos a amar os cães em relação a nós.
It's a very rare thing to find genuine love of God in this material world.
É muito difícil de encontrar.
Very rare. And totally misunderstood.
Totalmente
Even you could say challenged, and people tried to stop it. Because it's so opposed to most people's motives to try to enjoy this world. God has given this world for us to enjoy it.
É tudo tão contrário. As pessoas dizem, não, Deus deu-nos este mundo para nós nos desfrutarmos.
But we should learn, really, how we can utilize this world for His pleasure, not for our pleasure.
Nós devemos compreender ultimamente como usar este
That's
mundo para
devotional service.
Não para o nosso
Process.
não para o nosso prazer.
Process.
É serviço devocional.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Time to pass stool, I'm afraid. What to do? Hare Krishna. Stool Society. That's one thing everyone does. I think all species of life pass stool. Isn't it? Pretty much. I don't know. I mean, the stavros, the non-moving ones, I don't think they would pass stool. They pass other things. But I think all moving species, they pass stool. No? Every moving species, I think. Isn't it? Fishes do, right? Birds do. Insects do. Is that right? I mean, I don't study these things, but as far as I know, they all do. They all eat, they all sleep, they all mate, and they all defend, isn't it? All moving species. And plants and others do, but we can't really see it. I guess stool for a tree means just shedding off whatever, dead matter that's there. I don't think it has a particular functional organ through which it all passes, does it?
Yeah, everything is carbon dioxide, maybe.
That's their passive stool, yeah. Something's coming off, but it's not. I don't think there's one particular. Every species of life has a particular spot or part of their body where stool comes out. There's an inner function there, isn't there? Like a car has an exhaust, the exhaust fumes come out. One place. Unless something's wrong. But I don't think that non-moving like plants, I don't think they have one place like that. I think maybe their whole system, it comes out in carbon monoxide or whatever, dioxide. Yeah. Yeah.
Maharaj, thank you for the class. You mentioned that people who experienced, like Krishna experienced that he was bound, and he after that he liberated Nalakur and Manigriva. We go through experiences in life that we get bound, and in that particular moment some compassion arises in us to try to do something for the others, but you forget it.
Yeah, modes of nature. Still affected by the modes of nature. And different people, by the way, will have different, even when they're bound up, different people will feel differently. It's not the same with everyone. A devotee naturally feels compassion for others. We may not be on that level. Some people feel anger towards others. They don't feel, compassion at all. It awakens anger. They're in the mode of ignorance, passion and ignorance. Other people, everyone have different impressions. Some people start to become so self-conscious that they're just feeling, remorseful, not about what they did, but about the situation, why this happened to me, become depressed and so on. Some people realize why it happened to them, a little bit more goodness, that they did this and they deserve what they're getting. And some people see this as, Taktenu Kampamsa Samikshamanam Bhajanaikat Makritali Pakam. This is Krishna's mercy that I deserve more than this. He's given me a token. Do what you want with me, Krishna. I'm yours to please you. I'm not here to gain happiness or distress in this world. That's up to you. Different people will see it differently. Why do we forget when we what do they call us? That something sasana, I've forgotten. Graveyard renunciation. At that point, sometimes people become a little serious about life. Maybe there's more to life than just what we're seeing or experiencing. Something beyond it. Then they forget. They become entangled. And their desire is not very strong. We're still attached to sense gratification. So the material energy covers us over, we forget. One of the characteristics of the material energy. Ignorance means forgetfulness. So we're still influenced by ignorance. Even though sufficiently experienced, this is the most amazing thing, Yudhishthira says in this world, isn't it? The most amazing thing of the material world is that everyone sees it, everyone's dying and suffering, but we still have this kind of dream-like idea that this won't happen to me. You kind of know it, but you kind of live as if it isn't going to happen to us. Try to put it aside. An ostrich burying its head in the sand. Ignorance. People are covered by ignorance. This desire to see us, we still see ourselves as the enjoyer. And many times, we have that famous example, I don't know where it came from, of a man who was, he was a roofer, not a woofer, a roofer. He worked on roofs, fixing roofs. He was on the top of a very tall building, fixing the roof. It was a sloping roof, and suddenly he lost his grip, and he slipped, and he was literally rolling down the roof, and it was likely he would die if he fell off. He was about to fall off the edge of the roof. Suddenly he had a pair of overalls with braces, these things. Suddenly, as he's just going over the edge, somehow his braces caught on a nail which was sticking out. As he was rolling, he was an atheist. But as he was rolling down the roof, he said, "Oh God, help me!" Atheists often do that. And then suddenly when he was suspended by his braces there, and he was hanging there, and he got saved from dropping to his death. And when he looked up and saw, looked and saw what happened with it. My God. Thank goodness I I put that nail there yesterday and saved myself. As soon as it's over, we take credit for it, we try to show off. We're spoiled children. Spoiled children. We want to take credit for everything. As long as we want to take credit for everything, as long as we want to see God as meant to be our order supplier and so on, this will continue to happen until we grow up. We don't realize. He's there to give me relief. He's there to liberate me. He's there to take me to heaven. He's there to make me happy. He's there to fill my belly. He's there for us to defeat the enemy. He's there to provide all my material needs. That I get a nice wife and pass my exams. He's there for all these things. Because we're still seeing him in ignorance. We're seeing God. We have ignorance of God's position as well as our own. And as long as we don't understand our identity and our relationship with God, this will always be the case. You haven't got it right. You haven't learned our lessons yet. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Well, I don't know what to do. I've got